Hi everyone, welcome to this video and thank you so much for clicking on it and watching. This video is going to be about my favorite books. So these are books that I feel are 5 stars in my opinion, and they're ones that I've mostly read in the last 3 years or so, and there's a few that are just like, I consider them like all-time favorites, even though I read them like maybe 10 years ago. They're still like my top favorites and I've reread them multiple times. So let's jump right in. I'm going to start with this one by Riley Sager. It is new, came out June 2023, The Only One Left. I read this in just a couple of days. I was so into it. It is exactly the kind of book that I like. So we have like, it's like a gothic thriller. So we got this mansion on a cliff, and I think that's one of my favorite settings. So as soon as I saw the cover for this, I knew that it was going to be something that I was going to like. And so this one is about the main character is a caregiver, and they're assigned to care for this lady that lives in this mansion, and she was accused of like a Lizzie Borden style slaying of her family. And so it just starts off so interesting, like being in the point of view of a caregiver that is going to go into that kind of situation, and how scary it was or how scary it sounded. But this one was a 5 stars from me. I was so into the story. I did not foresee any of the twists and turns that occurred in this book, so I always love when I'm surprised, and that was definitely this for me. There was, thinking back, I'm like, I just love how the author kind of sprinkles in these clues, but it's hard to know what's a clue and what's not until you know the end of the story. So I would highly recommend this one. This is probably, I think this might take the place of Home Before Dark, because that has been my #1 favorite book for the last year or year and a half. And I think this one might be my new favorite. I just absolutely love this one. That takes us into Home Before Dark, also by Riley Sager. I have to say that I am a huge Riley Sager fan. There's yet one more Riley Sager novel that I'm going to talk about. I love like thrillers, mysteries. They are my favorite genre of book. It's hard for me to read a book without a mystery, because I just like being kept guessing about something that happened. So this one, again, haunted house, one of my favorite genres. Not just like House on a Cliff, but now if the house is haunted, that's even better. And what I loved about this book, it was told, there was like 2 different stories in it. So we have like the main story where it's the characters going to her childhood home, which is this haunted house, and is going to fix it up to like sell it. And then we also have like this secondary story, which is the character growing up in her childhood. Her father wrote like a book. What is that? Like, it's kind of like Amityville Horror. So like her father wrote this book about their house growing up, and so she hated that book, hated that story. But the whole time in this book, you're just wondering, is that book real? Is the house really haunted? And again, I loved the twist and the way that this story went. I tabbed a lot of it, as you can see. I didn't tab my other books. I just wanted to read it and enjoy it. But this one I definitely want to reread. I just want to forget it a little bit more before I go back and read it. But this one was a stunner. I absolutely loved this book. And neither of these were scary to me. Like, I know they're like thrillers, but they weren't scary. Like, they didn't keep me up at night, didn't give me nightmares. They're just, to me, it was just like a really good story. Now, this next book is one that I read, I believe in, well, I think it was last year. And it was my second by this author. The author's name is Rachel Harrison. And the first book I read was called The Return, and I liked it okay. So I saw that this came out. It's called Cackle by Rachel Harrison. When I saw this cover, I was like, ooh, it's like witchy, like spiders, Halloween. I was like, okay, I want to read this. And oh my goodness, I loved it so much. I think I originally wanted to give it 4 stars, but I seriously think about this book like, I don't want to say a daily basis, but like maybe a weekly basis. I think about how much I loved this book. It was so good. So we start off with like a woman who wants to kind of restart her life. So she moves to a smaller town and she is renting like this small apartment, and she becomes friends with this person in town that everybody seems to like not love, but like they're super nice to this person in town, but also seem very scared of her. And so that's when, like, you know, you think, oh, you know, this book is about a witch. So you're like, oh, she's like probably a witch and everyone knows and they're afraid of her. So it's just, I felt like this book was about 2 women like forming a friendship. And I absolutely love that. Like, the witch character in this book was really, I guess, cheering on the main character to learn how to stand on her own 2 feet and how to be happy with who she is. I just thought it was a beautiful story. It wasn't scary. I don't think there was like a thriller aspect or like a mystery aspect. It was more like, you know, you're questioning like, is she like an actual witch or not? I'm not a fan of spiders. As you can see, there's like a spider on the cover. And there are spiders in this book. So like if you're like super afraid of spiders, I don't know if you'll like it. But I found myself that it was like the spiders were like friendly spiders. And like they described as cute and stuff. So I kind of like had a little soft spot for like the spiders at one point. So if you're afraid of spiders, I'm like, I don't think you have to be worried about this one. But this one was just, it was just so good. I really, really loved it. Perfect book to read like when you want like Halloween type vibes or just, I don't know. It's just so good. I absolutely loved it. I can't say it enough. I recently changed it to 5 stars because I just think about this book so often. A book that kind of caught me by surprise. I didn't know if I was going to like it because this is the first book by this author. I've never read a book from them. And I kept seeing it in Target and I read the back of like the synopsis and I thought, it sounds kind of good, but like I haven't heard anything about the book. And so I was unsure if I wanted to purchase it. And then the library had it available as an audiobook. So I downloaded the audiobook and I was into it right away. I think I finished it within a day or 2. I just didn't want to stop listening. It was like I was going around cleaning or anytime I was driving, I was like, oh, I could put the audiobook on. And so I know I like the book when I kind of get into that mode. And so that one is When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. And so I love this cover, first of all. And as soon as I finished the audiobook, I knew I had to get myself a copy. And so I found one in a friend's little library. So this book is so good. It is about this neighborhood where people are like all of a sudden selling their homes and disappearing. And then the new people buy the homes and they're like completely renovating it. So they're kind of like rejuvenating the neighborhood or redoing it, whatever. They're like totally changing the neighborhood. So it's very different than what it used to be. And so the main character is just kind of perplexed, just like, that person would never move. Like, why would they up and move and like leave without saying anything? Like, it was just kind of shocking. And so there's a lot of like looking out the window, watching neighbors. The main character is watching across the street or something, these new people that moved in, and she's kind of like analyzing them and like trying to figure out who they are, why they moved there, what they're doing. She just kind of dives deep into trying to figure out what is going on. Because can you just imagine if you're living somewhere and all of a sudden just everyone you know is just like disappearing, like they're not saying bye to you, they're just up and gone one day and there's all new people? That would be really confusing. So this one took me by surprise. Really good. Kept me on the edge of my seat. I always kept wondering what was happening, and I really liked it. I enjoyed it. So I recommend this one. This next book is one that I also read within the last couple of years, but it is another kind of witchy type of small town Halloween vibe. It is The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling, and I absolutely loved this book. As soon as I started reading it, I think I was just a chapter in or something, and I was just like, I'm going to love this book. I love the way the author writes. I loved the characters, the setting, the magic, the world. I just absolutely loved this book. It was so good. And it's like, the vibes were just perfect, because that's, again, one of my favorite things. It's like Halloween, magic, those kind of things. So this is not a thriller mystery. This one is more of like a cute book. We've got like two characters who are both magic, and they're from like, I think their families are kind of like against each other in a way, but they also need each other to keep the magic in the town thriving. So of course, like, it's just a very cute relationship between them. I was rooting for them the whole time. Also love the side characters. There's a second book, The Kiss Curse. I also liked that one, but this one was a 5 stars. That one I gave like 3 or 4 stars. This one was magic. I absolutely loved this one. It's dear to me. I will definitely read it again. It wasn't hate to love. I don't know. They were just annoyed with each other, and they fell for one another. And this whole book is about them having to keep the magic in the town, like keep it going. I think it was like fracturing. The magic's like fracturing or something. Something was happening to where it was, things weren't going correctly, and so like they had to work together to restore the town's magic and keep like bad things from happening. Very cute. Loved it. Now I have a horror novel that I read earlier this year, and I wasn't sure if I was going to like it just because it seems a little bit different from what I usually read, but it is Slewfoot by Brom. This one kind of took me by surprise because, well, first of all, it's like set, let's see when it's set, in the 1600s. And I usually like more of a modern like setting. It's just easier for me to picture and get into. But this one, I heard good things about it, and I knew it was like a witch story, so I also liked that. And I also liked that it was illustrated. There's some beautiful like illustrations in here, so I thought that was really cool. I was a little concerned that it was going to take me a while because like this book is a lot bigger, like wider than a normal book. So like the pages, there's a lot more writing on it, and it's still a pretty like decent sized book. But I actually got through it kind of fast because it was a very interesting story. So it's about this character who lives on a farm with her husband, and something happens. Someone's trying to take the farm away from her, but she refuses. And there's this character named Slewfoot, and it kind of like helps her keep her farm. I think I don't think he's like a witch. I don't know if it's like a demon. That I think it might be. But she's like accused of being a witch. And well, because like the demon character helps her grow crops to save her farm and protects her. And this was just a very good book overall. I think there were a couple scenes that made me a little, not squeamish, but like, it was like Grady Hendrix style, like descriptions of like bugs and stuff like that, where it's just like, I don't know. So I just remember that, like, I was just like, ugh, during like one part of the book, but also it was like vindicating, I guess, with what happened. So this one was really good. Like, it was, I like that the character just, she wanted to be independent, take care of herself, and just everyone in that town like was trying to tear her down. So it's just, this felt like a really good like underdog story. So wasn't scary. So it was good. Another book by Rachel Harrison that I completely fell in love with and read in just a couple days is Such Sharp Teeth. I did not know that this book was out until I was at the bookstore one day and I just saw Rachel Harrison. I was like, oh, that's the person that wrote Cackle. So I was very excited to see this, and I read this in a matter of days. It was a very fast read, and it's about a girl who moves back to her hometown and she ends up getting bit by something, and it's a werewolf. Surprise, surprise. This is it's about her turning into a werewolf, and kind of like how she doesn't know what's going on with her, and she's like in disbelief, and you know, she wants to protect those that she loves from, you know, her hurting them possibly. And so this was just, it was a good book. It was fun. It wasn't scary. It was just a good story overall. Cackle is still like above this one, but this was still very enjoyable for me. So this is like 4.5, almost 5 stars. Only because Cackle was like, I could easily put that above this one, but I still really, really enjoyed this. Another Riley Sager novel. I just finished this, The Last Time I Lied. And this one I knew I was gonna like because I also like thrillers that take place in like a camp, like with a lake, people away at camp and staying in cabins, and I just really enjoyed this. It also kept me guessing. I feel like a lot of Riley Sager's main characters always struggle with like believing in themselves, like either they're having a drinking problem or like there's something's wrong mentally or something like that. So this one, she was having like, I don't know, like a psychotic break almost. Like when she was younger, she had to like seek help for it. She had like hallucinations. But you know, it just adds a dynamic, I guess. I don't mind it. I know some people don't like that, but I don't mind it because it helps keep me guessing, like, is this real? Is it not real? So I don't mind it. But this one is about a girl who went to camp and all of her bunkmates just vanished and she has no idea what happened. She like for some reason thinks it's her fault. And so this book is mostly about when she's an adult, she is invited back to the camp as a counselor, and she takes that opportunity because she wants to kind of see what happened, investigate further, see if there's something sinister there. And I have to say, I really enjoyed how it went because there were so many suspects and so many like sketch characters that I just kept being like, oh, I bet it's this person. I bet it's this person. I bet it's this person. And it ended in a way that I kind of wasn't expecting. So I really like that about Riley Sager novels. Always catches me by surprise. I know some people can probably like call them out, but I don't try that hard to figure things out because I want to be surprised. So I actually really enjoyed this one. It wasn't scary or anything. Again, like, I don't know, or maybe to me they're not scary. I'm just not reading super scary books, but they are definitely thrilling. So Then we have The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This one I was, again, a little hesitant to read because it's set, well, I think half of it is set, I don't know what century, but it's, oh, here we go, 18th century. And then half of it is, or part of it's like current day. But it is about a person who runs an apothecary shop in the 1800s. And it's kind of like a woman, I think like only women go to it, because a lot of it's like to help with like symptoms that only women have, or like whatever. But I think it's kind of a little sinister, where it kind of turned into like, hey, I need help making my husband disappear. What concoction can you give me? So that was very different. I wasn't expecting that. But then we kind of flash forward to the future. It's about a woman who is like going through a separation or something, or a divorce. And then she finds this like vial, and she's so intrigued by it. And she's like digging into the history of it, because she's trying to figure out where it's from, what it was used for, stuff like that. So I got through this book very, very fast. I enjoyed it a lot. I remember there was some like thrilling aspects to it, where I was like on the edge of my seat, like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? So I actually really, really liked this one. It's a little bit different from what I normally read, but it's kind of a shorter book, so I really liked that. And I heard good reviews about it, so I decided to go for it. And I actually ended up enjoying it. These last 3 books are ones that I haven't read recently. They're just ones that have been like in my top 5 like for like 10 years. Like they're just books that I love, and they're just like read them multiple times. So we have Malice by, I might say this wrong, but Kigo Higashino. This is a translated novel. It's a Japanese thriller. This book, I read it once, and then as soon as I finished, I turned around and read it again. I was so into this. It's because it's like a mystery, and you get to the end and you find out what happened, and then you're like, I gotta reread this. You're like, how did I miss this? And you reread it, and then you start seeing more signals that you missed the first time around. And I just absolutely love that. So this book is about, there's like a murder that occurs in an office, or like a room, someone's house. There's an office in their house. Doors are locked, windows are locked, but someone was killed inside. And like, so it's like a locked room mystery. And so you get the perspective of, I think, like the friend or something, or someone who found them, and then the detective who's investigating. And it was just such a good story. It's not that long. I just absolutely love this. I don't want to give too much away because, well, because it's a mystery, and I don't want to give like any of it away. But this has been like, if someone would ask me like, oh, what's like a good book, this is the one that I recommend. Another book that has been one that I absolutely love is by John Green, The Fault in Our Stars. I connect with this book so much, and I love the movie too, so that's why I bought the movie cover, because it's just, I just love the movie, love the book. They're both so good. I remember when I went to see the movie in theaters, I was crying the whole time. It was so good. Yeah, this is a book for if you want to cry, by the way. Or at least it made me cry like the whole time, because, you know, the main character has like lung cancer, and, you know, I myself I don't have lung cancer, but I have a lung disease. So like the whole like not being able to breathe properly and having multiple doctor's visits all the time, just stuff like that. It's like I really kind of bonded with the main character, and just seeing her go on this journey of like she gets to do a Make-A-Wish, and I absolutely loved it. It was like her growing and experiencing life and stuff, and I just thought it was so good. So this one's like dear to me. I've reread it so many times and I will continue to reread it. I love it. The last book is going to be Agatha Christie, and Then There Were None. And I have loved this book for so many years. This is like one of the first books that I've read that really got me into reading. And I think I read this like when I was in middle school or high school, something like that. It was a long time ago. And I just absolutely loved it. It's like, you can see like house, it's like a house on an island and they're stuck on it, and they're all invited there for like a party, but then they're getting like killed off like one by one. And so the whole time you're like, what is happening? Who is doing this? And I just thought it was a really good story. My only issue with it is that, well, because it's an Agatha Christie book, it's like the writing is very different from what I'm used to. So a lot of times there's like words or the way that things are said, there's just like, I'm just like, I don't know what they're saying. So this one's kind of hard for me to get into, but once you're into it, it's like, it's very good. I love the mystery and everything like that. So this is the last one I would recommend. So that's all of them. So I'd say out of all of these books, my favorite is, I mean, you can probably guess, Riley Sager, We Have the Only One Left, and Home Before Dark. Those are like my two like top books that I've recently read. And then like Cackle's up there too. Like, so anything that comes out by Rachel Harrison, Riley Sager, I'm going to read for sure. I only have one Riley Sager novel left. The last book I have is like Survive the Night by Riley Sager. And I always heard that that one like wasn't as good, but I still want to give it a shot because I seriously love like every other book by that author. And so I'm a little surprised actually that I did not choose any Grady Hendrix novels because I've read a few of them, but I don't know. They're like 4 stars to me. Like they're good, but it's just, so we have My Best Friend's Exorcism. I really like that one. You know, Camp and stuff like that. Then we have How to Sell a Haunted House. I liked that one a lot as well. However, I feel like the first half of the book was just about sibling rivalry, and it was like, it took a while to get through, but like the second half of that book is like awesome. And then there's also like Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, the longest title ever. That one I also really, really enjoyed. I think about that one often, but I don't think I would reread it. So I feel like that's my like criteria for a 5-star is like, I have to want to reread it. If I read it and I'm just like, oh yeah, it was good, then I don't know about that. Another honorable mention is The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. I read that, I think, last year or the year before, and I absolutely loved that one too. It was so good. I love the twist in it, and I kind of want to reread it, but like I'm on the fence. I recently changed it to a 5-star book on my Goodreads because I was like, you know, that book really surprised me. I really loved it. And I remember it was like one of the first books I read where I was like literally gasping as I read it. And I was like finding out what happened. So I'm like, that was like a new experience for me. So I think that's why I wanted to give it 5 stars, because a book has not surprised me that much. Like Riley Sager's twists are very good. But I'm never like, oh, you know, like having that reaction. But that happened when I read The Last House on Needless Street. Very good. That was like a mind twisty book. I recommend that one. That was fun. Anyway, so that's all the books that I really, really recommend. These are ones that I will never donate. I will always keep these highlighted on my bookshelf because I love them so much. And I hope some of them sounded good to you, and I hope that you could try reading them and that you'll like them. Let me know if you have like a super favorite book, or if any of them are any, like, if you know any authors that are similar to Riley Sager and Rachel Harrison. I would love to like explore new authors because I'm like, I've almost read all of these authors' books now, and I'm going to have to find a new author to read all their books. So let me know down in the comments. And thank you so much for watching this, and I will see you in another video. Bye!